A few weeks ago, we had an item show up on the PTU that really didn't make a lot of sense, but the more I think about it, the more I think it hints at a lot of really interesting and polarizing changes coming to Star Citizen, maybe in the near future. Today, I want to talk to you about the Cambio SRT tool, component repair, and why this seemingly minor change points to much larger ones coming in the not so distant future. Maybe. Now, this is an Imagine video. Everything I'm about to discuss is purely speculation on what I think could happen based on the updates we saw towards the end of 2023. These things will take time to see what the actual plans are. And speaking of time, let me share with you today's sponsor. Thank you to Holzkern for sponsoring today's video. Holzkern started as an Austrian watch company, but then moved to making jewelry, sunglasses, and more. And I really want to start off with their slogan, be unique and creative. And their products are just that. Valentine's Day is coming up, and if you're looking for a nice gift for your partner, family member, or even yourself, don't get them a spaceship JPEG that won't be playable for years. Get them something that makes them feel special and unique. The products from Holzkern are made with all sorts of interesting materials, which make them stand out from anything I've ever seen before. When you gift something like this, the receiver has to feel like one of a kind. I got my wife the Scotty watch, and she absolutely loves it. And I got myself the Melodical, which I think goes really well with every outfit, casual or more dressed up. Now, another bonus is Holzkern offers free express shipping worldwide from Vienna and will pay any customs fees as well. Order before February 11th to get your special someone something on Valentine's Day. And don't forget to use code SaltEMike15 for 15% off your entire order at checkout. That is code SaltEMike15 for 15% off at checkout. Thank you to Holzkern for sponsoring. Now let's get back to the video. Now, as I said before, a 322 PTU released with something new for us to test a few weeks back. The Cambio SRT tool does exactly what the multi-tool attachment can, but essentially has 3 times the carrying capacity in its magazines for RMC. Doesn't seem so special, right? Not so fast, though. Let's look back at why the multi-tool attachment was introduced in the first place. The reason for FPS salvage, unlike mining so far, is not to be an extension of what ships can do at a smaller scale, which is like resource extraction, and then you sell that material. If you've ever tried to make money using the multi-tool salvage attachment, you know it's not profitable. So the reason I think it was implemented was to create a really unique little loop where if you were in a fight and won, but took a little damage, you could scrape some of the RMC off the destroyed ship and patch your own with it. It seemed cool, but I don't think many players did this because it takes way more time than just simply going to a landing pad and paying almost nothing for what essentially would be a brand new ship. The new Cambio SRT tool could make it so this experience was a lot smoother because you could do more repairing with RMC with the capacity of the tool. But another update was made to the PTU that hints at the reason for this tool to actually show up, and that's component repair. Now, component repair was only ever possible in the past by landing on a landing pad or docking at a station and using the repair function on our mobiGlass. Until now, you can now use either the dedicated tool or the salvage attachment on the multi-tool to repair a damaged component. For example, say your shields take some damage in a fight and they are somewhere between 0 and 89 health. You can now use RMC to repair them up to 90% health. That is correct. Even a completely dead component can be brought back to life through this system, but once again, not to 100%, only to 90. If the component is damaged again, you can repair it back up to 90% again. There are no diminishing returns on repair for now, although you could probably argue there should be. Just to be thorough, this does not apply to distortion damage. The only way to avoid this is to wait out the delay or replace the component entirely with a fresh one on your ship, as components not in your ship being used do not get distortion damage. Also, the repairing not only applies to the components. If you want to waste the time and repair your hull, the fee at the landing pad will be reduced if you patch your ship up before docking. So the repair thing is cool for now, but with the way the game currently works, I'm arguing, and I think most people would agree, that there isn't much of a point in using it for right now. So let's talk about what could happen based on some history. CIG has tried multiple times to punish players for losing ships by both increasing the time to claim and even the cost for faster claims in the past. The community absolutely rioted, and for good reason. The game is not in a place where you can hold onto a ship for more than a play session half the time. Let's not forget, persistence isn't exactly doing what it needs to either. If your game crashes and you end up on another server, you're forced to claim your ship. Imagine being punished for something like that. It's just awful, right? Then you have to take into account in 322, we're supposed to be able to repair our ships from soft death. Why would a player do this if they simply could reclaim for a few thousand credits? Even some of the longer wait timers are much shorter than it would take to wait for a tow or backspace and recover your own ship, most likely. So what is the most logical direction for the game to go? To decentivize using insurance to claim your ship, which is the only way to incentivize recovery of your ship, in my opinion. Now, personally, I feel Star Citizen has barely been punishing for losing a ship, but in all honesty, the time it takes to get back to whatever you were doing after death, even with short claim times, it's bad enough. This puts CIG in a really tough spot. Do they want us to maintain our ship as if it's our own? I personally want that, but when you think about what it would take in the game in a world this large, I struggle what is best from a risk versus reward standpoint and general just enjoyment for everyone who wants to play Star Citizen. Regardless, newer, more robust systems need to be developed before these punishments for death can even be discussed, let alone exist in the game. Now, CIG showed their hand at CitizenCon, or so we thought. So far, the implementation of more polished features into the game has been slow, clunky, and in my opinion, not meeting expectations. But regardless, at least for now, it does allow us to see their design intention for what the game could look like. So let's start out with engineering. This doesn't just make multi-crew ships feel more interesting, it's making your ship your own. We talked about that earlier. And most importantly, it should permanently remove that ship health system that determines soft and hard death states that we're familiar with today. The goal appears to be nearly 100% based on component health. There will be situations where your ship will explode, but they should be significantly more rare than what we experience today. Soft death should not be a state, but simply when your ship's components fail to function, whether it's because a relay is out or because the health of said component itself is too low. The only issue I see here is how they portrayed Maelstrom at CitizenCon and how we experience soft death today. If a ship is in a soft death state and falls to the surface of a moon or a planet, it rarely survives. This has to change. The way ships break into 1,000 pieces when colliding with things in the demos, we almost certainly have to change this, as it likely is just an example of how extensive damage can be with the system, but not what it will be with Maelstrom. Something I see a lot and is probably totally justified for now. Most of the time, players come across other players in the verse, and interactions are less than friendly in my experience. The advent of more persistent reputation has to be a thing. Pirates, player killers, and anyone who tends to attack lawful players needs to experience a struggle for choosing that life, and consistently that struggle. In no way should players be prevented from choosing this style of play, though, but the consequences should make players think twice about killing other players. Here's why. If I'm pirated but left alive, I might be left with less, but I can dust myself off, repair my ship, call for help, and get back on my horse. If I'm killed, the simple time hurdle is enough to make many players want to give up in present-day Star Citizen. Now, PKs will always PK, but if all they have to do is simply clear their crime stat and they're free to roam the system again, it doesn't really make a lot of sense now, does it? A PK's life in a system like Stanton should be hard. Always looking over your shoulder, nearly no places to land, repair, refuel, rearm, all of that. Bounty Hunter V2, anyone? Right? All the while, the opposite should be true for a lawful player in a place like Pyro. It should be easy for that player killer type and difficult for that lawful player. And lastly, on the note of reputation, if you really paid attention to CitizenCon, Almost every single panel talked about it in some way, in some shape or form. CIG has struggled with insurance fraud in the past, duping items, salvaging our own ships, and so on. And the solutions to those problems were less than ideal, making player ships have less salvage. That's not the solution, right? If players were rewarded for using means other than insurance to recover their ship, you should maybe gain favor with insurance companies, lowering your fees and claim timers for when you really need them, not just use them for your own convenience, right? Now, I want to talk about what that future experience could look like. Based on everything we know from CitizenCon and a few other updates, lead me to this conclusion. Everything is going to change. It has to. There is no way we can maintain the insurance systems that we have today in tandem with the gameplay experiences that are planned to come in the next 12 months or so. There's no way. So let's say I bit off a bit more than I can chew with the bounty and took some damage to the point where my ship is completely disabled. I have no spare parts, but I do have my salvage tool. Maybe I can repair enough to limp to a station for full repair, or I can call for help with a service beacon, which pings only players in the immediate area, so people that can get there quickly can get to me. This is probably the most controversial, but I can't see this game functioning without something like this. If no actual players respond, an NPC should take the mission and come to my aid within a few minutes. There is no reason why I should be forced to log out because I had to wait an extended period of time to get back to playing the game. But obviously, this should come at a cost that can also inform what real players should charge for their recovery services. So let's face it, many of the scenarios I'm sharing are solo player ones, right? Because many players play alone, and while they may not get the most out of the game, they shouldn't be severely punished for playing alone either, right? A little NPC help can go a long way. Sound off in the comments down below about that one. I know it's controversial, but it kind of has to be there, right? Now let's assume I'm back up and running, and I'm running some cargo. I get pirated. Turning off comm arrays should be much more difficult than it is today and require a more coordinated attack with more than just one player. So let's assume the comm array is up. Pirates disable my ship, board it, and use non-lethal means to take me down, take what they need, including ship components, and move on. I called for help during the fight, so they know they have limited time. If they steal the ship, it could be tracked down by security maybe, and maybe some players, so they know they have a get in and get out situation. Players have a mini game to maybe get out of restraints, think DayZ here, so eventually I'm able to kind of get back up, and after they've left, I can repair what I can, call for help, and if I need replacement parts, once again, to be fully repaired, I head to a station. I will seek a station for that, right? But this process should take about 10 minutes. A corpse run in another game, not an hour. That's crazy. Or finally, I can be attacked by a player, disabled, boarded, and killed. That player outsmarted me, outplayed me, and outskilled me. They won. And they can take the spoils however they want, but if they resort to murder in a lawful system, there should be very few places to hide. I respawn in a hospital in this situation. The fees are not fun. I likely experienced some stat loss, and now I have to go through the insurance process. Lifetime insurance should work nearly identical to what we have today. I press a button, and I wait the time CIG feels appropriate to get my ship back. Now, there has been years of polarizing debate about whether or not you should get a stock ship back or your upgrades back. I lean towards stock, but I understand if you don't. It all depends on so many factors like crafting and how they intend for us to just generally progress in the game, which we know nothing about. Then if I want to speed up the process, I will pay a hefty fee to skip the line, right? Perhaps this has a reputation hit for the insurance company, unlike the bonuses that we talked about earlier. Or I can attempt to recover my ship. Most likely, the players who killed me won't be there. They will have moved on. And I can call a repair service. Hear me out on this one again. For a fee, an NPC pilot will spawn a ship in a hangar, and I will become their passenger. We QT to my ship, repairs are completed, and I pay that fee, much lower than what an insurance claim would be, because CIG would raise them. Since it's a few replacement parts and a little bit of RMC, and we're back up and running, with a full repair to be completed at a station like we've been saying the entire video. All without getting the insurance company involved. Or even better, again, this gives you positive rep boost by not using them and using these other services, lowering your fees and being in good standing with them for when you actually need them. And that was a wild ride of speculation. This is all probably totally wrong, but I racked my brain for weeks about how this all could work, and this is what I came up with. I am seriously looking forward to the comment section of this video. If you think I'm off base, let me know, but just do it respectfully, okay? If you have some other ideas that, could fit into everything that I was saying, let me know too. In the end, we know they don't want ships to explode all the time, leading to constant respawns and claims, and everything they are showing and working on is pointing to incentivizing repairs in the field. So with that, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. It really helps out. Subscribe for more deep dives like this. And don't forget to go to holstern.com/SaltEMike and use code SaltEMike15 for 15% off your order. Also, free international shipping. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.